Welcome to DPMF Live. Now meet our hosts.
Good evening. It's very nearly 8 o'clock. It's Sunday night. It's the 3rd of August. It's DPMF Live back with another scintillating episode all about the law of the phoenix. Very interesting, beautiful, bright, long-tailed bird. Very intrigued indeed. Please share the space. Please like what we're doing. Please go to our YouTube channel, listen to some of our excellent episodes, and you can actually educate yourself on the amazing XRPL projects. Tonight, Dan, the man, as ever, Live Free, Wesley, and Mike, bringing you some information that's about the Phoenix. Dan, fill us in with the markets.
I will run through them again, and I'm gonna help you with some news again.
Go on, surprise us with a fact.
You're not going to believe this, guys. You ain't going to believe this. The crypto.
No way, Dan. 1 billion.
The crypto market saw over 1 billion in long positions liquidated in just 3 days, signaling a sharp pullback in bullish sentiment. 1 billion. I bet you haven't heard that today, have you?
Do you want me to do a soundboard?
I was waiting for the soundboard to come in. So, a lot of long positions, people going long in a bull market. It's probably a bit too late. So go long when it's a bit lower. Okay, I'll quickly run through this so we can start. Bitcoin is sitting at $114,371, which is down just under 4% on the 7-day. Ranked at number 2 is Ethereum, $3,462, which is down just under 10%. Our XRP is at $2.91, underneath the $3 mark, and is just under 10% down on the 7-day. Ranked at number 4 is Tether. Binance BNB is number 5 at 7.
I got a nugget, Dan. Sorry to interrupt your flow. I know, but I was going to drop it in on the last one, but this is really interesting. Did you know, with the Binance coin, that 60% of the supply is owned by the guy that runs it? What's his name?
CP.
Yeah, he owns 60% of the supply. Check that out.
Yeah, why do you think he wasn't bothered about going to jail?
Yeah.
He's like, how long do you want me to go in for? Yeah, a couple of years? Yeah, no biggie.
Anyway, carry on with your flow, because I wanted to drop that nugget in last time, but I got wrecked.
I've actually met one of the leaders at Binance in London. I think last year. I had a meal and a drink with the number 2. What was his name?
Wow.
I think it was Ryan Wood. I think his name. I'm sorry for you listening to this, mate. So I was with him in London.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt your flow, Dan. You're on Binance. I think that was 6.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Binance is at $752, just under 10% on the 7-day. Ranked at number 6 is Solana, $161, and that's down just under 15% on the 7-day. USDC is ranked at number 7. It's always at number 7. I quite like the number 7 as well. In fact, I actually quite like USDC. I like Circle. Okay, ranked at number 8 is Tron, sitting at 32 cents, which is actually up on the 7-day by 1.17%. It's the only one in the top 10 that's ranked at number 9 is Dogecoin at 19 cents. I tell you what, every time I look at Dogecoin price, I remember that being in the micro thousands. I remember, because I own some. I remember it and I was like, now I look at it and like, Wow. It's down 16% on the 7-day though. Ranked at number 10 is Cardano's at 72 cents, which is down 12.52% on the 7-day. And yeah, I remember when Cardano was 4 cents as well. I remember that. So yeah, that's the market, and that's the news on the 1 billion liquidation of longs over the past 3 days.
So this is episode 80. We are rolling out some episodes. We are brought to you by the amazing team at Fusion XIO, the only place, the best place to get a validation and do your NFTs and sell them and mint them and do awesome stuff. Go check it out. Tonight's show is all about Law of the Phoenix. So Dan, do you want to fill us in what this is all about?
I do. I was just going to pull something up in the Jumbotron, but seeing as you've cut me in so quickly, I shall carry on. Right. So why do a show specifically on the Phoenix? Well, to start with, before we go into it, we are releasing a gift to some of our users who are on Fusion XIO. Certain profiles who'd be over 100 in validation points, they're going to receive a free gift. It's a technological advancement on our side. Well, you know, you could argue we're the first on the XRP ledger to do it because we've already done it. We just haven't put it on the public. But we're offering out a gift, and it's related to the Phoenix. So that's going to come out soon. So ensure that you're following any of our handles, or mainly the DPMF one, because that's going to come out soon. You know, as a gift, a historical gift with our technological advancements, and there is more to come as well. So with that, that's why we're here today, and that's why we're talking about the legendary bird of the Phoenix. Right, let me just pull up my notes, because okay, now I've got some stuff written down. Do you want me to read it out, or shall I just go through some positive bullet points? How do you want me to deliver it?
Do your bullet points.
Okay. Right, okay. So the Phoenix bird is obviously a bird. It's been around for a very long time. It's a mythical creature. What I mean by that, for those who aren't aware, it's not real. Or it might have been real. We don't actually know. But it dates back for a very long period of time, and comes all the way to the future. And it's actually related to the XRP currency. And some people would have seen XRP and the Phoenix related in areas on social media amongst the XRP community. So what we're going to do is we've digested some information. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go from the start all the way to the end. Where's Mike? Live Free. Live Free here. Yeah, he's on the host one. And yeah, we're just going to talk about it. So the journey begins all the way back in Greece. Was
it Egypt first, Dad?
No, hang on. All right. Thank you, Mr. Researcher. So our journey begins not in Greece, but in ancient Egypt, where a version of the Phoenix myth took shape. The Egyptians revered a bird called the Benu, a radiant heron-like creature associated with the sun god Ra and the creator of god Atum. The Benu was said to perch atop the Bendum stone, the sacred mound that emerged from the primordial waters at the dawn of creation. Okay, so There's a bit of a twist with this. The Banu didn't just symbolize life, it renewed itself, rising anew every 500 or 1,461 years, depending on the source. Some accounts even describe it bursting into flames and being reborn from its own ashes. So, what have I just said there? We've been talking about called a Banu in Egypt.
So,
Go on, Wes. Don't let me step.
Yes. Well, just to expand on that, if I may, Dan, the Benu, the ancient Egyptians revered it because it represented the sun. So, ancient mythology, the sun came up every day. To an ancient observer, that was quite magnificent. They relied on the sun for everything. The sun god Ra, that's why it was so important. So, the first iteration of the phoenix renewed itself every single day in a place called Heliopolis in ancient Egypt. And it apparently used herbs, fragrant wood as well. That's a common theme throughout all time. That's the nest it makes when it burns itself up and reforms in the ashes.
So would we be right to say that the phoenix could have been a real creature and doesn't exist anymore because it burnt itself out?
Well, that's the mythology. And
it didn't renew.
It didn't renew, yeah. Perhaps it's looked at the earth and thought, bloody hell, I'm not coming back there.
So that myth, I know that myth laid the foundation for what would later become the phoenix, the immortal bird, which symbolized was like cosmic cycles, fertility and rebirth. But fast forward to ancient Greece, where the myth was refined and reimagined. So the earliest Greek mention comes from a guy called, I don't know if it was a guy or a woman, but called Hesiod. Did you come across that name, Wiz?
Herodotus, he was a Greek philosopher and historian. He recorded history.
He's the one that compared the phoenix lifespan to that raven 9 times longer. But what was it? He described a magnificent bird from Arabia that visited Egypt every 500 years to bury its predecessor in the Temple of the Sun. Then came Ovid, the Roman poet, who painted the phoenix in vivid strokes in his Metamorphosis, a creature that builds its own funeral pyre, ignites it, and then rises.
Funeral pyre, yeah, that's it.
So how long ago was that then? So ancient Egypt, what was that, 5,000 years?
Ancient Egypt is anything from 8,000 to 1,000 years ago. That was ancient Egypt. Then you had the modern dynasty, Queen Cleopatra, things of that nature. Alexander the Great finally conquered ancient Egypt. He was obviously the Macedonian, which is probably modern day Greece and Turkey. He was from that area. But the ancient Greeks they came after the ancient Egyptians, but they were rooted in the ancient Egyptian lore and mythology and belief-based systems. So they really had a lot of reverence for the ancient Egyptians. Hence why they overdeveloped the Phoenix story. And like you say, it supposedly came from Arabia by their reckonings, and it builds nests of cinnamon and myrrh, ignites it, and it dies in its own flames. Then a new phoenix rises from the ashes, carrying its predecessor's remains in an egg made of myrrh to the Temple of the Sun, Heliopolis, like you said.
So we've got these different time periods. So Egypt, say 8,000 years ago. What was Greece? 3,000?
Yeah, you're looking at about 1,000 years before Christ for the ancient Greeks.
Yeah. So, and these time periods are interesting because what it is, they basically all talk about a bird that has the sort of capability of renewing itself and catches fire. So in Egypt it happened. In Greece, it happened, and there were some writings in Persia and Persian mythology. They called it a simurgh, a majestic bird that lives for 1,700 years, cleanses itself in fire, and possesses divine wisdom. Though not identical to the phoenix, the simur shares its themes of purification and longevity and spiritual elevation. It's another thread in the global tapestry of firebirds. So basically there's more than one, at different time periods in different civilizations for, just short of 10,000 years.
Hence, as well, probably poetic beauty. It re-emerges in different cultures around the world. China have got their own version. Also, the Christians, have a reverence for the phoenix because it represents the resurrection and the salvation. The phoenix rises from its ashes after 3 days, which is an important number in Christianity. That's when Christ rose, after 3 days. So it's fiery death also. Christ comes with fire this time. It purifies you.
And then the phoenix appears again later on in Christianity. So by the time Christianity emerged, the phoenix had already become a powerful symbol of resurrection. Early Christian writers like, sorry if I butcher this name, Lactantius, used the phoenix to illustrate the promise of eternal life through Christ. The bird's fiery death and rebirth mirrored the crucifixion and resurrection, making it a potent emblem of hope, faith, and divine renewal.
Yeah, it's weird. In Persia, he was talking about Persia, and that's where most of the religions come from as well, from ancient Persia. So it's really affected cultures across the world, thousands of miles apart.
I'd like to add a little bit, since you talked about the cultures around the world. There's Native American petroglyphs, like those in the southwestern U.S. Sometimes they feature birds, like what we call over here the thunderbirds instead of the phoenix, or fire symbols. But it's not necessarily in specific context of a bird emerging from the fire. But the absence of such imagery may be due to the practical focus of early human art on survival, hunting, or shamanistic rituals, rather than a complex mythological narrative. So in the States over here, so it's not necessarily European, but it's also in the States, we do have what we would call the thunderbird, as opposed to the phoenix.
And also you've got Phoenix, Arizona, which I think was a city formed after Great Devastation.
I don't know exactly why they named Phoenix, Arizona, or from where it came from. That's a good question. I'll look it up. I'll look that up right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess running through that history, so that's as far back as it goes sort of to now. And the Phoenix even now is still talked about, but spoke differently in different civilizations and cultures. It's sort of plastered all around the world. So then it comes to, well, how does that relate to XRP? And then I know Mike has done a little bit of research on this, which is quite interesting.
All right. So, okay. I want to take you all on a little bit of a journey here.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this, Mike. Let me get my popcorn.
Okay.
I was just about to say that, damn it. Get my popcorn.
Go and get it quick, but be very, very quick, because you're not going to want to miss this. I mean, just to give the illusion of tension, I just want to pause for 2 seconds.
Where's the soundboard, man? Get them drums rolling.
Can you? Well, the soundboard man's probably eating steak right now, so it's not going to be any soundboards. But
oh yeah, so for those that don't know, Palace is actually concurrent. Is he? He's not here, is he? He's left.
No, he left us. He left us for a juicy piece of steak. That's how much we mean to him.
Well, yeah, left the steak. Although steak comes quite quick, so he'll probably eat it. He'll be back near the end, I don't doubt.
I'll just make him a listener.
All right. Okay. All right. So you know what? Just for Palace, I'm gonna make this like a fantastic. I'm just gonna make it good so that when he listens to it later, he can sit with it, pause, meditate.
Before you go forward, Mike, Live Free, I'm down as a co-host. Do I have power of the soundboard?
You should.
Which button is it?
Come on, you can do this.
Come on, is there eerie music? Is there any eerie music?
I've got some emojis I haven't seen before. What are these? So that, all right, you want eerie?
Okay, so you go into that little magic one. You got it. You found it.
Yeah.
Is that when you think I'm telling a porky?
Oh no!
Time's up.
Button. Right, Live Free's jumped in.
Come on, Daniel, stop pressing the soundboard.
You want to hear the story, don't you, Live Free? I've built it up.
Go for it. I'm going to mute Daniel.
All right. Okay.
I muted myself.
All right, so it starts back in 1988. On January the 9th, the globally renowned magazine The Economist published a bold and provocative prediction titled, "Get ready for a world currency." Now, this is in 1988. If you go down to the comments of this space, you can have a look at the cover while I'm going through this. So go and do that. Have a look at the cover. So on the cover was an unforgettable image. It was a phoenix, the legendary bird of rebirth, rising from the burning ashes of global currencies like the dollar, the yen, and the Deutschmark. The article confidently predicted that by around 2018, exactly 30 years later, a single global currency would emerge, revolutionizing how we would transact worldwide. They even gave this currency a symbolic name, the Phoenix. So now we jump ahead to 2012. Ripple Labs introduces XRP, a digital asset specifically designed for rapid, affordable, and global cross-border payments. Almost immediately, cryptocurrency enthusiasts around the world started noticing striking parallels between XRP's vision and the Phoenix prophecy of 1988. All that time ago.
All right, Daniel, I'm going to have to mute you.
Get in.
I pushed the wrong button. They're emoji. Sorry, Mike. This is really interesting. Sorry, carry on.
All right, so think about it. XRP was built precisely to solve the problem of slow and costly international transactions. Exactly the scenario that The Economist described 24 years earlier. So the idea of a universal currency enabling seamless global transactions was suddenly not just speculation, it seemed eerily real. I said eerily real. Oh, you muted him, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't go for the soundboard, mate. I've been muted. Yeah. All right. Some sound effects.
But here's where the story really heats up. All right. So in December 2020, Ripple faced its biggest challenge yet, the infamous lawsuit filed by the SEC, which is still going on now. Which we're not happy about, but it's happening. It's still going on now. But so XRP's price dropped. The community faced uncertainty, and many wondered if XRP's journey was over. Yet, just like the mythical phoenix that rises stronger from its ashes, XRP survived and even thrived. Fans and investors alike started embracing the Phoenix token, seeing it as a perfect representation of XRP's resilience and potential comeback. So here's something important to clarify. So Ripple never officially connected XRP to The Economist's Phoenix article. They never advertised it or publicly acknowledged any inspiration, but the symbolism captured the imagination of the XRP community, fueling countless discussions and memes online. So, and it was so strong that this narrative, in December 2024, the XRP Ledger community launched a token explicitly branded as the Phoenix, token, officially embracing its symbolism. But remember, this connection is purely community driven. Ripple itself remains officially neutral on this. So just to get that in there. So what's the truth? Yes, The Economist did predict a global currency using Phoenix imagery back in 1988. And XRP aligns remarkably well with the concept of a universal bridge currency, but Ripple itself never officially endorsed this prophecy or connection. But the powerful narrative we see today is purely community driven, and you can see that everybody has got behind it, and it's now part of XRP's story. So whether you believe it's coincidence, prophetic symbolism, or clever community marketing, one thing's certain, that the Phoenix legend is now deeply embedded in XRP's story. And it's a powerful reminder of how symbolism can unify communities and inspire people to believe in something bigger. Maybe, just maybe, that's the real power behind the Phoenix.
Good, well said there, Mike. That well said. I do the soundboard, but I've been taken off, so
Thank you, guys.
Well done.
So as a little fact for that as well, so while Ripple was in the lawsuit, the highest the price of XRP went. So this is during the lawsuit after it was issued. In 2021, it actually went up to $1.79. I don't know if anyone knew that. So that was during the lawsuit. So there was always a lot of faith that it would do well when the lawsuit closes. And it has, you know, it went up to, what was the highest price recently? $3.65?
Yeah, I think so.
which was my personal target. I said it for a long time. That was my personal target of the bull run, was 365, and it hit the nail on the head. I think I said $3.60. But yeah, considering it was in a lawsuit, it's still done very well. It was the bounce after the lawsuit. I think it was in December. It was just before Christmas, wasn't it? The SEC issued that. I remember that. I remember that Christmas very well. And yeah, it did actually have a bounce. So how long do we have now with the lawsuit? I don't know if Live Free might actually know. I know he's following it a bit more. We're coming to a close now, aren't we? We're not far away.
You know, I don't have an exact date when it started, but definitely it's like 3 years at least. At least.
But I think we're coming to a close of it now, aren't we? We're nearing.
Well, was it Judge Torres said it was not a security. The secondary sales were not a security. So that, in essence, pretty much frees everybody to be able to buy and sell on the secondary market. Like you had stated earlier, Ripple was still fighting one section that could have been considered a security because they sold directly. So I don't know about that. And then they were, the last I had heard was that both the SEC and Ripple had gone to Judge Torres to withdraw all their appeals, but for some reason Judge Torres denied it. So I don't know. It seems very awkward that if both parties want to withdraw, why would the judge deny the withdrawal of the appeals?
It doesn't quite make sense, does it?
Does not make sense at all whatsoever. So, now conspiracy thinking me thinks, she's being controlled by somebody, to end it at a specific or a certain date. But then again, I do not know, and I don't want to, create false claims or anything like that. I just don't know, but man, it certainly does look that way to me.
Just to add, Mike, you said from what was the year The Economist came out? It was 1988, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah, 1988.
So that would have been 2018. So this is not actually the first time Ripple have been sued with XRP. I don't know. Did you guys know this?
Nope.
No, I'm not.
So
No.
Ripple, I remember this as well from years ago. I was tracking, but I wasn't a XRP investor. I was just following sort of economy news. And FinCEN actually fined Ripple for the XRP currency, and it was for it not being a security. I think it was. I think they got fined for it not being a security, if I remember, something like that. And that was in 2015. So XRP's had it from both sides, you know, a security or not a security. It's been punched in the face by government.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Hey, bloody hell.
Yeah, FinCEN first, and then about 5 years later, the SEC.
Ah, never knew that.
I
Let me
think
just
with
get
the,
that 1 second.
I think with XRP in general, it's just always been it's just been held down. I always look at it, I know obviously there's all different predictions, you know, whether it's going to go lower or whether it's going to go higher, but XRP to me is, like, I look at XRP long term, so none of my predictions are short term. But I always look at XRP as a ball that's being held underwater. You know, at some point that ball is you can't hold a ball underwater well, you can hold it underwater, but only for a certain amount of time. And when you let go of that ball, it shoots up into the air. And year after year, XRPs are always being held down. It's just that ball underwater all the time. You even now we're starting to go up a bit, and all of a sudden we go down, up again, down. So at some point, I do believe, yes, it will be an amazing asset to hold if anyone's got any at a later date. But, you know, it's definitely being held down.
I've just pulled up the FinCEN stuff. So violations by Ripple Labs and the XRPL. So they were operating as a money services business, MSB for short, without registering with FinCEN, selling XRP without implementing an effective anti-money laundering program, and failing to report suspicious activities related to several financial transactions. These violations exposed Ripple's systems to potentially misused by money launderers or terrorist financiers, according to FinCEN. Now, if I'm honest with you, reading that, right, there's very little sort of anti-money laundering sort of capability when it comes to banks and cash. So it sounds like, just reading that, it looks like they were just trying to slam the hammer on technology early.
They've not done nothing wrong there, have they? They've just done whatever, you know, they've just tried to pause the way in that crude environment. There are no laws that they can really count upon to facilitate that.
Ripple Labs and its subsidiary XRP paid a $700,000 civil money penalty. They also agreed to forfeit $450,000 in parallel settlement with the US Attorney's Office. Ripple then committed to registering XRP as a money service business, implementing a robust anti-money laundering program, and conducting a 3-year look back to report prior suspicious transactions, which is probably about when Jeb McCader was there. And then retaining independent auditors for BSA compliance reviews through 2020. The action was separate from the later SEC lawsuit in 2020, which focused on whether XRP was sold as an unregistered security. So yeah, I got that wrong. The FinCEN lawsuit was actually more directed at Ripple as being a money service business. They hadn't registered with through FinCEN.
Can you see any positives that have come from them actually getting sued from that FinCEN? That sounds like it helped them, because that's small change, really, isn't it? You mentioned £450,000 for the fine. That doesn't sound like a lot. I know it's
but Ripple was a lot smaller back then, so that would have been a kick in the gonads, you know. Yeah. They were a hell of a lot smaller then. The XRP currency was nowhere near as liquid as it is today. It was in the 0.0001 cents, I think it was, at the time. In fact, let me have a look. I'll check what the price was.
Hey, while you're looking at that, I looked up a little information. This is according to Grok. I don't know how true this is, though. It says the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission lawsuit against Ripple Labs concluded on May 8, 2025 with a settlement agreement. Ripple Labs agreed to pay a reduced fine of $50 million from the previously imposed $125 million penalty, and both parties agreed to drop their respective appeals. This settlement resolved the civil enforcement action initiated in December 2020, which accused Ripple of illegally selling XRP as an unregistered security. The agreement required approval from the SEC and the U.S. District Judge Annalisa Torres, making the end of the high-profile legal battle. And then I asked it again because I thought it was still ongoing, certain little final things. It says, the SEC lawsuit against Ripple Labs was fully resolved on May the 8th, with the settlement agreement approved by Judge Annalisa Torres. According to available information, no further actions are required to close the lawsuit. The settlement included Ripple paying a $50 million fine, both parties dropping their appeals, and the court finalizing the agreement. There are no pending motions, no appeals, or additional requirements mentioned in the case's conclusion. So according to Grok, it's completely over. But I keep on hearing stuff is still not over. I don't know about you guys.
I'll have a look at it. I'll do some digging. So I know in 2015, when Ripple was sued by FinCEN, the XRP price, its lowest price, was 0.00404 cents. So you could buy 100 XRP for $1? I think it was. In fact, you could buy over 1,000. So yeah, it was a completely different company back then when they first got hit with FinCEN, which then a few years later, so it's 3 years after the FinCEN lawsuit is when where there's the predicted date with the Phoenix, with the new asset that Mike was talking about. But actually, Mike, you didn't mention about the logo.
Yes, it looks.
No, you didn't mention about the logo, did you?
Yes, good catch. Yes, I didn't. So on the I don't know who's looked at the cover.
I've got it right here, right now.
What I'm not going to say it. But what logo do you think that is by looking at the cover?
Looks like bloody Stellar to me, son.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Right in the middle of its chest there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, so that was interesting that XLM is actually the logo that is that the bird's holding. I found that quite interesting myself because
Are you saying that Ripple stole the logo from Stellar? Oh my goodness. Is that what you're saying?
Sounds like you're trying to get me into a lawsuit. It does look a lot like it.
It does look like the Stellar logo. But remember, so The Economist, this was this 1988, no doubt Jed McCaleb was probably aware of this article. And when he started a new chain, because Stellar is pretty much an absolute duplicate of the XRP ledger. And he was like, right, what should I have for a logo? And that's probably where he got it. It's near enough identical.
Mike, do you have the author of that article? Who wrote the article?
Let's see. Where are we?
And does it say anything about, did it interview any party before writing that article?
Oh, actually, where is it? I've got the proper article here. It's, the source is where does it say it?
It just says the source, The Economist. It doesn't say anybody in particular.
The source, The Economist?
Yeah.
The source, The Economist?
Source, so the source, title of article, get ready for the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then the source is The Economist, and that's it, that's all it says.
We don't know who the writer is.
Sounds like one of these unbearable guy conspiracy things,
Has there been a Simpson episode on this?
There must have been.
Has there been a Simpson episode with the Phoenix?
Side Archer.
Right, I've got some. While you're looking at that, I've got some information related to Jed McCaleb. Now, I actually followed Jed McCaleb for quite a few years. I didn't fully know the history of Ripple. I know there was an argument years ago with the way Jed wanted the network to go, and all the other developers. I think it was Arthur Brito, David Schwartz, and Chris Larson. So they had an opinion of having the chain one way, and he disagreed with it. And somewhere down the line, that's why he split. But I've got some information about why he left. So McCaleb wanted a more decentralized and inclusive financial system, while Ripple was increasingly focused on bank partnerships and enterprise solutions. Stellar was built to serve individuals in underbanked regions using a similar consensus mechanism to XRP, but with a different governance model. Now, that's interesting because I know some of the guys up here on the panel would know I've been talking about banks with the XRPL. I've said it for quite a long time, where banks won't want to use the XRPL because self-custody is real bad for business, for the banks. It's really, really bad. And I've been saying for a long time that the XRP ledger will be a self-banking network. And if you look closely, after all this time, if you look closely where Ripple have pivoted recently, and they just released an article not long ago about how banks are not the future kind of thing. What was it called? Do you remember Live Free? It was in one of our Telegram groups.
Oh, you know what? No, I did see it, but no, I don't remember what it's called right now.
As the marketing campaign against the banks begins. Now, all these years, and David Schwartz actually says it, or he says, we partner with banks, and it's more they just want to broadcast the partnership. But after that, there's never any fruition that comes with the partnership. It's just, oh yeah, we're partnered, yeah, happy days. Now, that's not the same for all. That's not everyone, but majority is. And I think what's happened is because the banks are not adopting the technology, and I always thought this would be the case, Ripple would push for the network to be its own bank. And what else has happened recently? Ripple have applied for I don't know if someone wants to jump in and beat me on this.
Yeah, it's bank license.
There you go. Right, boom, you got it, Mike. You are well ahead of the curve. Right, so now they've got a bank license, and I think they got that quite quick. There was some paperwork and documents a few years ago. I can't remember which county it was, where there was whispers about them having a bank license. But I think there's a real push now where the XRP ledger is going to be a decentralized bank, a completely decentralized bank of self-banking, self-custody, where people can borrow and lend from each other. And I think that's come about because from about 2018 to 2020, there was a noticeable pivot, especially with XLS protocols coming online, where they started drifting towards self-banking, more opposed to just innovation of the network. And, I spoke about this on the show the other week. There is XLS protocols for self-custody, borrowing and lending in the pipeline. So I think it's very, very likely that the XRP ledger is going to be a fully decentralized banking network where everyone can be their own bank. And I think that's exactly where it's going now. And I think that's what Jed McCaleb wanted to do years ago. And that's why there was a disagreement. And Ripple went one way, he went the other. But where Ripple went, I mean, they've realized, and this is probably about 5-6 years ago, I think they realized actually this isn't working. Let's go for another angle. And you can see it clear as day with it. You just look at the XLS protocols in order and you can see the change.
Well, Daniel, let me ask you this, because I mean, this has always not necessarily confused me, but bothered me. Why is it, or why do you think that Brad Garlinghouse is always at the, those WEF meetings, where they want to pretty much centralize everything? I mean, it seems like, one hand does one thing, and then another hand does the other.
Probably because they got the money.
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. I wouldn't say I have the answer. I don't know. But let's say Ripple they are a money service kind of business. Yeah. So the XRP ledger is not their sole business. You remember that. because most people forget that they actually do other kinds of money transacting business on the side. I think there's they used to have ODL. I don't even think that's on anymore, is it? On demand liquidity. Do you guys remember that from a few years ago?
I remember it. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still on or not.
They had Polysign, which was one of their projects, didn't they? That never came to fruition either. But there's also some stuff I think they do with payments, which isn't on the XRP ledger. A bit like the ISO 2022 messaging with transactions. I can't remember what the other one is, but I think they're doing stuff like that. So when they're partnering with banks now, they're not using the XRP ledger. I think they're using another technology. I'm pretty sure it is, because they don't just have the XRP ledger. And that's where it comes down to, using that, because for a long time they wanted to cooperate with the SWIFT system. Now the XRP ledger can't take on the SWIFT system. There's limitations of the network. It can't do it at the moment. It doesn't mean it can't in the future. But I would say that Brad's probably going to all these big places because there is a system that they do use to support payment systems, which Ripple was a part of. I haven't done a lot of research in Ripple over the past few years. I've been too busy doing our own stuff. But I'm pretty sure if I was to dig deep, there would be a payment service that isn't on the XRP ledger that Ripple sell to clients that's used. And it's probably a very similar technology. It just sort of maybe takes away the crypto side and has a liquidity side instead.
Well, speaking about our own stuff, you have the hyperchain blockchain that you're designing to be pretty much a financial type blockchain. How do you think, or how would you rate it against the current XRPL?
The reason actually by design is to make it better than the XRPL, if I'm honest with you. That comes down to the way it comes down to the way the fee is used. That's one of the reasons. Rewind a few years ago, I was a big fan of deflation. I'm actually still a big fan of deflation personally. I think deflation is good. It's good for price. That's what it's good for. And then when I started researching and sort of revising some other chains that I'd looked at and stuff, it occurred to me actually deflation is good on paper, but it's also that you could utilize that in a different way. So that's why by design the hyperchain come around, and that has a better function relating to fees, because you're not destroying value. Although destroying value locks it, the way we've got it still actually locks it. So it's actually the same concept, but a more enhanced version. So it's actually if you used to put it on paper, it's the same thing, but a better way of doing it, because what you do is you provide availability to use that value in a more advanced way. And you can't do that on the XRPL because of the layer 0 locked in. So that was why that's why it came about. So technically it's better. And yeah, we'll see how it works when it's online. Does that answer your question, mate?
Yes, it does. Sorry, I was messing with the stuff here for the finishing part.
I thought I'd been cut out. It was like when I was in Africa on Starlink.
Watch out for those hyenas, Daniel. Yeah. They're going to come get you.
All right, so let's brainstorm here a little bit. So we get the Phoenix is heavily tied to XRP. It does have the Stellar logo on it. Is there any other assets that they could be signaling at, or is there any kind of money that it could be signaling at that we're missing?
Okay, repeat the question again. How was the question phrased again?
Okay, so I'm brainstorming a bit here. So let's say that in 1988, The Economist, a writer there, the producer or whoever it is, an editor, etc., they were in the know that, in 30 years, there's going to be a new way of doing currencies. So you could probably say in about 30 years, because they wouldn't be able to hit the nail on the head exactly. Now, the XRP community has related it related the Phoenix and the XRP currency, and that's how it's come about. It's a community-driven kind of rumor, if you like. And then Stellar has joined on that because Stellar has the Stellar logo, which is very similar to the gold. It is, right? It is.
Yeah.
When was the Economist article written again, Mike?
1988.
Yeah. But look at, are you going to be tying in your, what you've posted up there, Dan?
Actually, I just put that up there because I found the picture.
Yeah, but did you see what else it had with the Roman, because on it says, because I said about the Stellar logo, which is in the middle between the 10 and the 2018, but people are saying the 10, the Roman numeral for 10 is X.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Yeah. I was going to bring that up as well.
So now it's like 50-50.
So if you was to do that, so the logo in the 10 doesn't relate to Bitcoin. There's no relation to Bitcoin there, other than it being a gold coin. But even Bitcoin on the blockchain is not perceived as a gold coin. It's code, which is ones and zeros.
Right.
Well, if it's binary.
So what's the date there in ones and zeros? Does that have anything to do with Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin could be the Phoenix. That's what I'm gathering from this.
It could, it could be anything really. That's what the question was I was asking. Is there an asset or is there money out there around that time period, 30 years later, which it could be representing, which is not XRP, XLM, and maybe not Bitcoin? I don't know.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I do know 10 is equal to X as Roman numerals. So, was it the Romans were a part of the Phoenix as well?
Yeah, they were. They had the poet who spoke about them. And it was when emperors were ordained. Like Augustus, I think he was the main one. They depicted it as the bird rising from the ashes, and the new empire being formed.
What did that symbol on The Economist, the stellar symbol, what did that mean in 1988? Because we know because we relate it to the stellar, but what did that mean in 1988? I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Yeah, well, around them times you had films coming out. Harry Potter wasn't out then, but there was films out there. Harry Potter has a Phoenix.
What, Platform 9 3/4?
The actor wasn't even alive. Was it Daniel Radcliffe? He wasn't even alive. I think.
It might actually be relevant. That might be relevant.
So
I'm just looking at some information now, seeing if I can find what that logo means.
So Ovid is the Roman guy who depicted the Phoenix.
So while you're doing that, I don't know if I mentioned it or not. So I found the date. There's a key up and coming date for the SEC case. So it's the 15th of August of this month. So the 15th of this month, it says the Second Circuit Court of Appeals has paused the case. Both Ripple and the SEC must file a joint status update by August 15, 2025. This update is not a final deadline for dismissal, but rather a required check-in on whether the SEC plans to proceed with its appeal or drop the case entirely. Legal experts, including ex-SEC attorney Mark Fagel, state that this is procedural rather than adversarial. The SEC's internal process, memo drafting and vote scheduling, is governing the timeline. So yeah, what happens next? So the Ripple has paid the fine and escrowed it and dropped its appeal. The SEC has yet to formally withdraw its appeal. Until they do, the case remains active. And now Live Free is going to serenade you with a
What,
with a little
what
bit
was
of
that?
jazz.
My thing is going screwy again. It's like disappearing and coming back up and disappearing and coming back. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, Elon
Is
Elon
this
pissed off somebody.
Is this
I
what
don't
you do
know.
with your chickens?
Nothing to do with the chickens. The chickens are safe in their pen.
Literally, how many chickens do you have? No, I've never asked you.
Three tonight and 10 for tonight.
I don't know. Maybe it's over 20. I don't know how many.
20 chickens. How many male chickens do you have?
Well, male chickens are called roosters.
That's it. I was going to call them cocks. How many roosters do you have?
That's a personal question there, man. I have 2 grown roosters, and I have some chicks that are growing. I don't know how many of them. I have 9 chicks that I incubated this season. I don't know how many of those are roosters. Let's say probably half of them. So I'm gonna have to get rid of some.
Well, how many cocks have you got?
That's what he just is. That's
Oh,
that's
the
what he's.
rooster's a cock as well.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness! What do you think? There's 3. What do you think? They have 3 genders or what?
No.
A transgender chicken.
So what the point I'm making is you've got a lot of cocks, haven't you? You've got a hell of a lot.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Okay, all right. Let's get that over with.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
You got 2 male. I'm going to say male chickens.
No, you can't say chickens.
Oh, 2 male roosters. Well, you
I
don't
guess,
have.
I guess you could say chickens. I'm only kidding with you. All right, go ahead. I got 2 roosters and hens. How about that? Roosters and hens.
So you got about 9 hens. 8
No,
hens.
I probably have about maybe 14. I'm gonna say I'm gonna have statistics probably gonna end up being like maybe 14 or 15 hens, and gonna end up with like 7 roosters, of which, or 4 or 6 roosters, for which I have to get rid of a whole bunch of them because they'll tear up the hens if you have too many roosters.
You have got some happy roosters, I don't doubt. Right.
And some pissed off hens with headaches.
Does temperature play a part in whether they become male or female?
There is some. I don't know about temperature. I know there is something to do with when they like in these big chicken farms and stuff, egg producers. They do something to the eggs, and it tends to make them hens as opposed to roosters. I don't know what the actual trick is, but there is a way to guide it to where you get more hens than roosters. Right. I just don't know what it is.
How do you get the eggs that I eat on my fry up then when they're just a yolk?
I'm sorry, what?
How do I just get the eggs when I make a breakfast? Them eggs that I crack.
So I didn't understand your question. Say that again.
So if I keep an egg in it from when I buy eggs from the shop, if I keep it and keep it warm or whatever, it won't grow into a chicken and hatch. But if that's just an egg that I use on my breakfast. So what happens there? What kind of eggs is that compared to these eggs what you're laying? Because your eggs are growing up into
so every hen lays eggs whether you have a rooster or not. Okay, so a lot of these big farms, they have these hens and chickens all penned up with no roosters. So most of the eggs that you buy from the store are unfertilized eggs. Only when you go to the farms would you more than likely get a fertilized egg. That, if they, as long as they don't stick it in the refrigerator, then it'll stay fertilized for it'll stay alive maybe for a day or 2 before you have to incubate it or have the hens actively sitting on them.
Right. This sounds all very exciting. but I'm going to share some info on the symbol of the medallion.
You know, you did start the question, Daniel.
I did. I started that one question, and it put Wes on a path I could not get him off.
Sorry.
Are you back in the room, Wes?
Yes, I'm glad we've cleared that up about the eggs.
Right. So that symbol on The Economist, the symbol itself was never explained in the article, nor did it have any official meaning. So it had no meaning at all. So back in 1988, that symbol didn't mean anything as to why it was put on there, but it was put on to evoke something. So it was put out. There were three things that it was put out to evoke: authority and legitimacy, resembling traditional coinage; unity and neutrality, not tied to any specific nation; and gold standard aesthetics, suggesting stability and value. The medallion reads, so with the 10 and the symbol, the medallion reads 10 Phoenix 2018, implying a denomination and a target year for this hypothetical currency's emergence. So there you go. But I might have a look to see if there's anything more ancient with that symbol where it meant something, because someone would have come up with it for a reason to put on such a distinguishing image, you know, about currencies. Someone would have come up with something or seen it somewhere relating to something. I don't doubt.
You know, you mentioned about or maybe this is what I understood of you mentioning. So the Economist article started in '88. Was written in '88 or published in '88. The first coin, obviously, was we know it as Bitcoin, which launched on January 3rd, 2009. So what happened within that 30 years, roughly about 30-year span, between the Economist article and the first cryptocurrency?
So from 1988, I know there was the financial crisis of 2008, and then we had 2020 with COVID. But everything else in between relating to sort of money, there's nothing that really sticks out that I'm aware of.
Can I just make an observation? The number 88 represents infinity. The Phoenix also represents infinity, rebirth, continuous renewal, invincible, which is a bit strange.
Yeah. You are right, yeah, it does. Strange coincidence. Of all the years, it had to be on that one.
Mm.
You know, dates do mean things. There's a lot of traders out there who trade off dates. You know, sort of moon states and all sorts. But yeah, dates weirdly do mean things in history. And yeah, I didn't notice that. 1988, yes, 88 being, or the 8, the infinity symbol. Yeah, you were right.
So what date would make sense for it to all be official?
Didn't it get published in October as well? I know that's the 10th month, but it's October means 8, doesn't it?
I've got a feeling, and I'm going to need to check this, so I don't want to start a rumor, but I've got a feeling that there was a white paper for Bitcoin before the official white paper. I don't know if anyone's read this. I read it years ago. Like one of them tinfoil hat sort of social groups. And there was the idea of blockchain. I don't think they called it blockchain, but it was the same technology. And that was written in 1998. I think, if I remember rightly, which was almost or just over a decade before Bitcoin went live.
Didn't David Schwartz have something to do with that? It was patented.
So he has some connections with the NSA, I believe, and he was working on the Bitcoin blockchain after it was launched. There's a lot of scope that a guy called Hal Finney was the creator of Bitcoin. There's a lot of people that lean on him being the creator, and that's mainly because he's currently frozen in a tube. Do you know about the story of Hal Finney?
He's cryogenically frozen.
Yeah, like realistically,
So,
yeah. He had a degrading disease. I can't remember which one it was. And before there wasn't modern medicine to help him. So what he'd done is he put himself into he froze his body. So he's frozen and is to be unfrozen when a cure is made. So that's live. This isn't like sci-fi stuff where it is a bit sci-fi.
What did it as well?
He's in a cryotube right now. And he had like the second or third wallet Bitcoin was ever transacted to. So, he has a connection there. And I think there's like 2 or 3 others that are connected to him, which it could be as well.
If you want, let me give you some information on Hal Finney that I just popped up here. So, Harold Thomas Finney II, born May the 4th, 1956, passed away August 28th, 2014. Unless you don't consider cryogenics, the final thing. He was an American software developer, cryptographer, and early Bitcoin pioneer. He played a significant role in the development and adoption of Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency. Here are the key points about his contributions. Bitcoin involvement. Hal Finney was the first person after Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, to run the Bitcoin software and participate in its network. On January 12, 2009, he received the first ever Bitcoin transaction consisting of 10 Bitcoins sent by Nakamoto, marking a historic milestone in cryptocurrency. He also mined early blocks and corresponded with Nakamoto to debug and improve the Bitcoin protocol. The cryptography and cypherpunk movement. Finney was a prominent member of the cypherpunk movement. I had never heard of that. A group advocating for privacy-enhancing technologies and decentralized systems. He contributed to Pretty Good Privacy, called PGP, encryption software, working as a key developer under Phil Zimmermann at PGP Corporation until his retirement in 2011. He also created one of the first anonymous remailers, a precursor to tools like Tor, and developed RPOW as reusable proof of work in 2004, a system that influenced Bitcoin's proof of work mechanism. Then it goes further about speculation about Satoshi Nakamoto. Due to his early involvement, cryptographic expertise, and proximity to a man named Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto, a neighbor in Temple City, California, some speculated that Finney might be Bitcoin's pseudonymous creator. That was a tongue tie there. Satoshi Nakamoto. So they think that it's very possible that Finney may be the actual Nakamoto, but he just used his neighbor's name as a pseudonym. Finney consistently denied these claims, providing evidence like emails with Nakamoto and his Bitcoin wallet to refute speculation. Yeah, well, we all know we can email ourselves through a different account, so that's not a.
I've said this before when we done a discussion hunting Satoshi Nakamoto, and we done a load of facts on the Bitcoin show, and one thing that bothered me. So I think that Satoshi Nakamoto is a group of people. It kind of has to be, in a way, and I think Hal Finney would know who that is. But one thing that bothered me on social media that I picked up on that wasn't that long ago, who was the guy who used to pretend to be Satoshi Nakamoto? Was it Craig Wright? I think it was, off memory.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so now no one knows who Satoshi is, and I've always had a theory, because of the correlation of Tesla and Bitcoin price, that Elon is something to do with Bitcoin. I've just had a feeling there was just some data that added up. And when Craig Wright come out saying that he was on a fake account, pretending to be Satoshi Nakamoto, who come back from the dead or whatever. Now, Elon Musk posted on X, because he can see who's behind each profile. And he actually posted to say, this is actually Craig Wright. He is not Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, Elon is a man of facts. Yeah, he's a man of accuracy. And if he's saying that Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto, then he must know who is. Because no one knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, you couldn't.
Yes, you can't deny the fact without knowing the proof, or the reason.
So could the Phoenix be a representation of Bitcoin? Coming in. I don't know.
Does the Phoenix remind you in any way to Elon Musk?
No, I think the Phoenix has a deeper representation than what we haven't spoke of. So Phoenix is all about renewing and burning. Yeah. When you look
if you look at Elon Musk's rockets going up in flames, that would be the Phoenix right there connection.
Well, if you was to combine them with chains, the Bitcoin blockchain, doesn't burn, per se, but the XRP ledger does, and so does Stellar actually. So, was that Economist article written all them years ago for Bitcoin? Was it for XRP or was it for Stellar? And I don't know. Or maybe an asset that we haven't spoken of yet that started in 2018.
Well, but the funny thing would be Stellar was created after Ripple. So you would think it'd be the closest thing to whatever the Economist article is or was written. So either Bitcoin or Ripple would probably be, who was it written for? But it does have the Stellar logo. But the Stellar logo could be copied by anybody. And so that doesn't necessarily mean.
I would say the Stellar logo was copied by Stellar.
Yeah. So it's what I'm saying. So it's like somehow the Economist created this logo and Stellar just picked up on it. It's kind of like the Nazi symbol. The Nazi symbol actually is a Buddhist symbol. But then the German Nazi movement took that Nazi symbol and used it for their agenda. And now a lot of people in the modern era equate the Nazi symbol as a bad thing, but in actuality, the Nazi symbol was a Buddhist symbol, and it's in a lot of Buddhist temples.
Yeah, there's a lot of ancient history that used the swastika as a sign of peace, and it was Germany, or Deutschland if you're from Germany. It was Germany which used that symbol, which wasn't for peace. So now the meaning for it in modern society has changed. Well, do you think the logo on the medallion looks a bit like the swastika? Is that where he was going?
No. I was just saying that, that they somebody could, after the fact, come in and just picked up and used that logo, and not just used a very, very well-known logo, which is the swastika, the Nazi symbol, that was, repurposed for their agenda, but it actually was meant for something else. That's all I was alluding to. Not that it was this Stellar or the Ripple or anything like that is a Nazi symbol or anything like that. No, not at all.
I've got some pros and cons. Am I muted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was muted. So I've got some pros and cons for Bitcoin, Stellar, and XRP to how they relate to that 1988 article. All right, so it's saying Bitcoin, it fits in some ways, but not fully. So the pros are, it was the first major decentralized currency launched in 2009. It emerged during and after the 2008 financial crisis, which was perfect timing. It advocates call it digital gold or a replacement for fiat. No central control, so it fits this post-sovereign theme. Store of value narrative aligns with financial distrust. So the cons are why it can't be slow transactions, not scalable for global daily use, poor microtransactions, commerce and settlement, very volatile, difficult to peg prices, doesn't work well as universal bridge currency. So the verdict is Bitcoin fits the philosophy, but lacks the functionality to be the Phoenix coin. So moving on to Stellar, this is a strong candidate, but a few weaknesses. So the pros, created by Jeb McCaleb, co-founder of Ripple, focused on financial inclusion and cross-border payments, used for remittances and microfinance, especially in developing countries, fast, low-cost transactions, non-profit and open, which aligns with neutral global vision. The cons, much smaller adoption compared to XRP or Bitcoin, doesn't have strong institutional backing like Ripple does, not positioned as the bridge between CBDCs and global banks, less public recognition or symbolic alignment with Phoenix narrative. So the verdict is XLM fits functionally, especially for small payments and humanitarian purposes, but lacks the scale and symbolic weight. So now onto Ripple. This is the closest match, both practically and symbolically. The pros, launched in 2012, gaining traction by 2018, designed from the start to replace SWIFT and power global money movement, ultra fast and low cost, ideal for daily usage, backed by RippleNet, used by banks and payment providers globally, positioned as a neutral bridge asset between fiat currencies, a global layer. Community directly embraced the Phoenix symbolism, especially during the SEC lawsuit. 2018 is where XRP peaked in attention and price, matching the article's predicted year. XRP is predicted the article's year. XRP is value neutral, not political, not mined, not inflated. And then the cons, centralization criticisms. Ripple Labs holds a large supply, still faces regulatory uncertainty, and the verdict is XRP is the best functional and symbolic match for the economist Phoenix. It's fast, neutral, scalable, and designed for exactly the use case the article described, replacing fiat for global value transfer.
Mike, can you do the same thing? I don't know how you got that information, but can you go ahead and add the Stronghold Net, because they are, they seem to be doing the same things, and they're going to do the rails for Ripple, supposedly Ripple and Stellar.
So Stronghold Net.
Yeah, Stronghold Net. See what comes up with that in the same context that you just did those three, Bitcoin, Stellar, and
what's the abbreviation of Stronghold?
SHX.
SHX.
Yeah.
I was just looking through some ancient history of that logo, of the XLM one on the coin, and there is no symbol in any history or ancient history of that logo. So I started, the one it's closest to, if it was to relate to anything, is the planet Saturn. And Saturn in astrology is known as the planet of karma. Governs discipline, responsibility, boundaries and structure, time and cycles, and karmic lessons. So, yeah, I've tried to see if I can find that logo in history and ancient history, and it seems like it didn't exist. So that logo might have been the first time, other than maybe something of Saturn being relatable, the planet, but other than that, it doesn't look like it was copied from anywhere. Maybe the first time it was put out like that.
Right. Okay. I've got the pros and cons. Oh, did I just come out of that? Here we go. Okay, for that one, Stronghold. So the pros are fast and low cost transactions, regulated US fintech, enterprise use case, stable coin interoperability, built for real world finance, low environmental impact. The cons, it's not designed as a global currency, low brand recognition, no community mythology, small market cap and liquidity, relies heavily on Stellar, no public rise from the ashes moment. So yeah, there's a few things that it doesn't fit with Stronghold, Live Free.
Okay. Just curious about that one.
But that one that's linked to XRP, isn't it?
Well, you have Sean Bennett, which is on the board or was on the board for Ripple, and then you have Tammy Kemp. Both of those are the creators of Stronghold. Tammy Kemp, I think she was also, or she's on board on Stellar. So, both of them have ties to the boards of both Ripple and Stellar. So, I mean, they're headquartered roughly about a mile away, from Ripple in San Francisco. So, I mean, there's too many coincidences there. I mean, I just find that one funny.
How long has Stronghold been around?
Mike, did it come out in your research on Stronghold?
Let me just check.
I'm just pulling it up now. 2019, so the year after The Economist, or the 30 years after, should I say?
Oh, 2019.
Was there an echo in here? Yeah.
What?
Well done, Mike.
Well, I do my research.
It's been around from 2019, which is when its first recorded price data appeared. It launched with an initial price of approximately 0.00286 cents and has since experienced various highs and lows. Its lowest price in November of 2020, it went down to 0.504. So it was, 10,000th, 100,000th of a decimal place. And its highest price has been 5 cents in August of 2021. So its best year is in 2021. Stronghold is built on the Stellar XLM network.
You'd be glad to know I bought the top.
Right, I have personally exhausted the Phoenix. I have got nothing else to add. Unless Mike or Wes Live Free, or Palace if he decides to turn up.
I blew the fire out at the minute.
I think we covered it very well. I think we covered we covered it.
I think it's another mystery on the XRP ledger, and I'm not talking about bears, but I think it's another mystery that we will just never, ever, ever understand. And we'll never know it was the Phoenix pointing at the XRP ledger or not, but the XRP community believe it does. Their discipline is strong that there is a relation.
Well, I mean, the discipline's also there that it's going to hit 589, and it's not at least not anytime soon. So,
and we also did a podcast about that. You can listen to that.
We did. That was a really good one, actually. That was really good.
If there was going to be a reversal on XRP going above $3.60, what do you think it would hit before it rebounded up to that, Dan?
So you mean on the correction going back up?
Yeah.
He wants to know because he wants to long it now.
I wouldn't go long because $1 billion liquidated.
Yeah, no, they see us all coming. That's
Isn't there a bear and bull chart in play?
Well, I mean, I'd have to check the chart, but so there's a topping formation appearing on XRP currency. I pointed out on our group the other day. There's there's a two symmetrical triangle build up, which is often a top. So where most would have mistaken it for a bull flag, it might not be the case. And then the last confirmation, I think it's already broke it. It has to confirm by turning previous support to resistance, classic, basic, analytics. And when that happens, that will be the confirmation that there will be a, 4-year bear market. And I think when that confirmation comes, that will be a big shock. That will be because there'll be a lot of traders who want to get out quick. So until that last confirmation is in, it's a little bit uncertain at the moment. Now, if you was to do price appreciation going to the future, really you need to find a bottom in order to predict where the next sort of top is, or you can use time using trending lines. So it's a little bit hard to say. I could probably, throw some guesses out if I had a chart in front of me for about 10, 15 minutes. But Mike, you wouldn't know this. The week that XRP actually took off, I put a warning. There's a gap on broker charts of XRP to 30 cents. It was 30 or 60 cents. And I don't really put any tweets out about XRP. But on this specific week I did, and I actually drew a circle and I said it will return to this location. I know Live Free, remember it.
Yeah, you said 55 cents as far as I remember.
There you go. Yep. So I said it will return to this price because the laws of trading, those who've traded for many years, it will return to this location. Now, I predicted it would be that week. I didn't know. Now, what happened is it was a manufactured price increase. So all the short positions were bought through, that liquidated and caused more price appreciation. So that was why the XRP currency took off. If you look at the DEX or some of the liquidity on exchanges, it wasn't in line with that bull move. It was because of brokers. So someone put a lot of money in it to basically break some short positions and make a lot of money. And, done like a 8x or whatever it was, 6x. So that's happened now. That's done. That fuel may be coming to an end, and whoever put them orders in to buy through the short positions is probably the same people that just sold into the long positions and took $1 billion off the market. Probably the same kind of candidates of whatever realm that is. So yeah, when you talk about the next high, I would be able to work out roughly where I could get a bottom. So then I'd have to work out where the next bottom is, and to do that, I need an ABC, Elliott wave correction, and that's what's happening right now. So I think it might be on a B wave, and that C wave. In fact, I might be talking rubbish here. I need to check it. I don't want to say anything I shouldn't.
What about with the low going low? So if it does obviously the 360 top, what do you think the lowest it will go back down to?
55 cents.
I mean, I can't wait to buy it at 55 cents.
Let me share something with you. In 2016, I was tipped off by a trader in London to buy XRP. And that was when it was like below a cent. He said, you really want to buy this? You really want to get involved in it? And at the time, I had like some odd little cryptocurrencies I didn't really understand. I didn't have the time to research them all. I was on equities. And I didn't buy it, and it took off on 2017, and then it was like what was it, $2-3 it went up to? I think that was mainly because of Korea, and so when it went up there, when I looked at the analytics, I was like, damn, I really missed this one. That would be the most explosive price appreciation XRP will ever see. It's already happened. They'll never repeat that. So I knew that, and I'd done some analytics. And I placed a bottom, I think it was like 21 cents or 11 cents. I can't remember what it was. But I had a target, and after analyzing, I waited years for an entry point, fucking years, right, to get it. And I waited all this time. It was about 4 years I waited. And when it hit the entry point, Wes would know because he was on a trade group with me. I said to everyone, buy this asset now. And I think I can't remember if it was 11 or 19 cents or 17 cents. It was something like that. And I just bought a load of it, there and then. And I'll do the same here. So I'll just take the time. Because, I'm not sitting there in a cave waiting for years to then buy it. I'll buy loads of stuff on the market. But for this one specifically, I think we're about to have a 3-4 year bear market. And the first 2 years of this will be people preaching that it's going to $10, $20, which is fine. You know, everyone's completely allowed to their own analytical opinion. But mine is, no, I'm going to wait this one out now. That's mine.
Well, I just hope everybody's ready for the emotions that it brings, to be honest.
Happens every cycle. We had all these emotions in 2021. There was emotions of XRP. I was in the XRP chat group in 2017. It was the same thing. So that was nearly 10 years ago. It just repeats. It just repeats.
Right, but you're saying, you're talking about, again, about XRP, and you're talking about the macros. Now, please go ahead and give your prognosis, shall we say, or prognostics about the micros. Where are we on that?
It's a bit hard to say because I'm not analysing the market like I used to, but I know specifically with the XRP ledger, because everything's tied to XRP currency. As that decreases in price, this would be that 4-year bull market for XRPL tokens, so meme coins and whatever else. So it'd be really good for them. Going forward, so there's a good opportunity for that, as opposed to the rest of the crypto market. I haven't looked at all the sort of medium altcoins and that below. I'm not even 100% sure if most of the ones I used to be invested in years ago are even still around. So I'd have to have a look at it. But there's something different about this bull market. There's a slight change in the winds where it's not like it was before. And we spoke about this. Is Holochain still around with David Atkinson?
It's still around, and it still has a few mad spikes. Do you remember when it went and it ripped? It absolutely ripped for a few weeks.
I taught you to get in that, didn't I?
Yes, I benefited from that. That's one of the many times I've listened to you, Dan. I did.
That was a good one. That was really good. That was one of my best ones.
All right, go back to the XRPL. Go back to the XRPL. Forget Holochain. Go back to the XRPL. So we want good news about the XRPL right now.
What will happen now is, specifically on the XRPL. So now we've got about 4 years of bear market on XRPL. On XRP, but with XRPL assets, it's very good. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but as XRP gradually decreases in price and people are arguing on a weekly basis about where it's going, there'll be people who will be switching into issued assets, and there'll be a repeat of what happened in 2021, where assets you'll see some assets, I think some have already started, where they'll just move like 800% in like a day, something like that, because the liquidity of XRPL assets is so not just the liquidity, the market cap is so low that they move really fast under a small amount of money going in, really, really fast. And when that happens, that will be the indicator that there'll be a bull market for XRPL currencies that will last a few years. It depends how quick they go. But there should be a bull market for a few years, because a lot of people will be holding XRP right now where, and if they believe it's going to $7, $10, $20, that's fine. If you want to hold on to it and wait for them prices, and you think they're coming over the next few months, no issue with that. You go for it. You trade how you want to trade. But my opinion is that, as the XRP currency does decrease, and I've said this for years, that this would happen. There would be a change in the winds and then XRPL assets would make a comeback. And then that would be a bit of a drive where people come in, because the percent gains are so massive. It'll be so attractive. You just look at your bet, because they won't feel like it now. It's been like a bit of a blood sport the past few years. We've had years of people waiting for the XRP lawsuit to come off. Then we've had COVID. Then we've had the Ukraine-Russian war. There's just been so many factors where it's like, and then we've been in a financial crisis because of COVID. So it's been a pretty rough ride for anyone who was around in 2021. To still be around. A lot are not around anymore. And what that means is, 4 years ago, there was a lot of XRPL assets to invest in. There's people throwing money all over the place, just for trading opportunities. Now it's more condensed. So that means that the XRPL assets that are already around will likely be invested in. And the ones that are probably like new startups and that, they might be avoided by sort of a medium, kind of money. So there's a horizon coming overall with XRPL assets as XRP decreases, because XRP is the main net currency of the network. It's traded with everything. So if that's going down in price, and there's a lot of people who are holding XRP, they're going to want to start moving it into assets that is going to make a lot of value. And XRPL assets are the fastest next best thing. So yeah, positive for the XRPL network for digital assets, for tokens going forward, very positive. And then that will switch again. It will switch again, and XRP will take off. But XRP doesn't have the percent gains it had no more. So where it was, let's say it's at $3.60 just for easy math. It has to go to $7.20 just for you to double your money. That's a big leap now. You look at XRPL assets and you see how little they have to move for you to double your money. It's completely different. So we might actually start getting a new crowd come in as well who are interested in digital assets. Now, I think it's going to last years. I think we've got like at least 2 years of bull market with XRPL assets coming. And there's already bottom formations appearing on digital assets, and some are already starting to kickstart. Granted, some founders pump their own value, right, and they've probably done it a bit early, a bit premature, so it doesn't look very natural, which can be a bit off-putting. But there's a good chance there's a good run coming on the XRPL network, which is great because some of the projects that have been around for years, are now going to start sending out some more stuff that they've put to fruition, which aligns with the charts. It just aligns. So that's what I see going forward. That's my representation of XRPL assets. I can't talk about other chains because I'm not monitoring them at the moment.
All right. So the key word here, or the key thought, is don't get attached to your XRP bag. Rotate it out into XRPL assets because those are the ones that are going to start to move.
Well, it's every single person is entitled to do what they want with their own assets, and I didn't see the bull move come with XRP, and I do a lot of analytics, so I have done a hell of a lot of analytics, and I didn't see it coming, and it was 100% manufactured. Could that happen again? It could. I don't think it will, because it's going to take 8 times more money to do the same move as what happened over the past few months. So, and I don't think the appetite's there. Now's a profit-taking moment. But yeah, I would say don't ever be afraid of moving value into other value. Definitely don't ever be afraid of that. Because the good thing about the XRP ledger, and this is why I rate it so highly, because I've done a lot of spot trading and CFD, DFT trading. When you own the asset, you own the asset. And if I was to use XDX as an example, we have features that are used for payments with that token. It doesn't matter what price it is against the dollar or against XRP. You can use that token for them features and functions regardless. And, I know you know about the EM, etc. So what I'm kind of getting at is you own them assets. It doesn't matter what price you buy them, you own them. And however many you own, you can actually use them in the future. And we will have future functions as well. In fact, talking about XTX, while I've got the logo up there, did you know there is a reason why that logo is the way it is? It wasn't actually just made up. So for a bit of a thought process for you, if you can figure it out.
Is it to do with an equation?
So the XDX is actually a math formula, yeah. It's to do with growth of value. There is a XDX formula, yeah, you are correct. So the ticker is related.
Is it also, wait, I remember this, it's in remembrance in all the bottom friends.
You can't remember it, Wes. We spoke about it years ago. You can't remember.
Is that right?
He don't know. But even the logo itself, actually, is the way that logo is deliberate.
Have you put this on the comments here? Can I see this image?
Right, I've just waffled for a long time, so I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to let Mike take over. I'm going to let David Ford Two.
All right, David Schwartz in the house here. Welcome to my segment of the show. All right, so what are we still going? Are we talking about the logo, or am I just free to waffle about anything and everything? Just give us a thumbs up.
Waffle away, pancake away.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna change. What was we just? So Dan was just saying. Let me just get my my bearings. So Dan was just talking about XDX. I was listening, so it just makes it like I wasn't listening, but I was listening.
He's bluffing it, isn't he?
No, I'm not bluffing it. Look, I'm going to just take you straight to the. Look, I'm going to take you straight. What do you think? Am I as convincing as Palace? Am I as convincing as Palace, or is Palace more convincing?
No, Palace gets away with it because he slurs some words. You got to slur a bit more so you can work out how to get out of it.
You know what? I'm going to take you to some scenarios, because I had some scenarios. I wasn't going to bring them up because I wasn't sure what time we was going to end it. But since we're here and I have your attention, I'm going to bring you. I've got a few scenarios. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these scenarios are about XRP and how if they're future scenarios and how they can how XRP can realistically evolve into a global currency. All right. Okay. So scenario 1, XRP becomes the universal bridge for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. All right. So the concept, XRP isn't the currency everyone uses. It's the glue that connects them all. So by 2030, over 90% of countries have launched CBDCs, but interoperability remains a major issue. Countries refuse to use each other's digital currencies directly due to sovereignty concerns, and it enters XRP, a neutral, decentralized bridge currency built specifically for low-cost border payments. RippleNet and XRP.
Now you're being a bit like Palace. That's it.
But you speak about sovereignty concerns. It's the same thing that's going on with China banning all cryptocurrency right now because they didn't want to have to deal with cryptocurrency from other countries.
They're not banning cryptocurrency because.
Well, that's when it came on the news.
They're banning cryptocurrency because people aren't putting their money in the banks; they're putting it in exchanges.
Yeah, and they don't want.
We've done this so many times.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is, and it would be like a wave. So banks borrow money off each other, like all the time. The banks owe each other money all the time, and if there's not cash coming in, that debt doesn't get paid, and the interest goes up.
China's buying the crypto at the minute. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Like if a saying that crypto's banned, they're probably buying it. And that will probably be the next big headline. That relates to what I imagine is going to happen with the market. I expect there'll be a big bear move coming soon, and I bet you that will be part of the headline, or that will be a reason to put the news out. Will be countries aren't buying crypto. I bet you.
But the bear move won't be on the XRPL. Come on, guys. Come on.
See this
you're right, because the XRPL assets are not tied to traditional value. They're all in their own ecosystem on the network. So in essence, you are correct. But that's the same. You could say that across the whole trading market. So gold, oil, gas, all the equities, even indices. You can say when value decreases somewhere, people put their money in the next best thing to buy. And if you're just a crypto trader, you don't see that. You don't see that there's opportunity. You just see, crypto market's down. Everything's down. Actually, it's not true. There's always stuff to move your money. You've just got to be able to transition it from off-chain to equities to even fiat currencies like the pound, US dollar, yen. They're always moving all over the place, and they move in massive swings. So there's always, where there's bear markets, there are bull markets. Just people don't always talk about them, but they're all over the markets. There's always somewhere.
All right, so in this one, with this scenario, it's basically just saying that it's the glue. So it's not actually going to replace anything. It's literally just the thing that moves all the other currencies around to their destinations via CBDCs. All right, so that's the first scenario. All right, you'll like this one, Dan. The second scenario: XRP replaces SWIFT after a global liquidity crisis.
Hang on, have
All
I
right.
given an answer to the first one? Or have I got to pick one of these that's going to happen?
Yeah, so these are the best concepts of what could possibly happen in the future
Okay.
with XRP coming out on top.
Got you. Okay.
All right, so number 2, XRP replaces SWIFT after a global liquidity crisis. So the concept: a systemic shock kills trust in the old system. XRP emerges as a neutral, trustless replacement. In 2028, a major geopolitical event freezes the SWIFT network and fractures global banking cooperation. The world scrambles for an instant, neutral and decentralized alternative to move money globally. Ripple's on-demand liquidity service using XRP is already battle-tested, secure and scalable. Governments reluctantly adopt XRP as the settlement asset of last resort, backed by real utility and speed. XRP becomes the digital oil of the new financial order. So in this, XRP doesn't win because of hype. It wins because the world has no better option during the crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 2.
Yeah.
Shall I go through them, or do you want to talk about each one?
These are really long ones. Go on. Go on. Carry on.
Scenario 3, XRP powers the financial layer of the metaverse and AI economy. So as digital experiences evolve, a fast, interoperable digital currency is needed. By 2032, the metaverse is a $10 trillion economy, and AI agents transact billions of micropayments per second.
Oh.
Ethereum is too congested, Bitcoin is too slow, and stablecoins aren't interoperable across metaverses. XRP's speed and near zero fees make it ideal for automated machine-to-machine transactions. Ripple upgrades XRP with smart contract sidechains and AI logic layers, enabling fluid, secure microeconomies. XRP becomes the native currency of digital consciousness, used by humans and AIs alike. So this is when AI economies need money that moves faster than thought. They choose XRP. Scenario 4.
Are these all hypothetical things? Like, where's it?
Yeah, these are all hypothetical. These are all could have.
Trying to argue over the hypothetical.
He's got 28 examples.
Yeah, and we're only in the second one. All right, so scenario number 4. I'll summarize them a bit more. Scenario 4: global hyperinflation drives individuals to digital assets, which is XRP emerges as the people's currency. So people are going to lose trust in fiat. They gravitate towards practical alternatives. The main thing of that is we always imagined a world currency would come from a government, but in this timeline it came from the people. So the people will choose. Scenario 5: Ripple and IMF partner to launch the global digital settlement layer. So XRP becomes the IMF's silent infrastructure. So as part of a global monetary reform, the IMF and World Bank digitized the special drawing rights system. Ripple is chosen to provide the cross-border settlement infrastructure and acts as a global back end.
Okay. Answer.
Go on. Have you got so you've got the main one of that one as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Is there another one? Is there?
No. There's a bonus. There is a bonus one.
So 2 and 5 won't happen. What would likely happen is 1, 3, and 4 will happen at different stages. So number 4, I believe it was, would be with inflation. So inflation will happen. It happens all the time. Inflation is constant anyway. But what's happened is, if anyone's looking at the housing market, inflation is bad at the moment. It's bad. Everyone's feeling it around the world. So that would be a reason to. Then you've got point 3, which relates to the metaverse and GameFi. Now, keep in mind that you cannot use, or you can, but you can't really use cash payments off-chain, on-chain products. So such things as NFTs and that, pretty much they have to be bought, on-chain unless it's a centralized entity. So number 4 would be a reason. Number 3 would be technology. And number 1 would need to bypass the limitation, number 1 being the glue, would need to bypass the limitation of being able to do more transactions in a short.
Yeah.
Now, I actually do believe that is possible. It's just not possible yet. So the network itself is not at the moment capable because of limitations with transactions. But I believe there might be a way going forward. Now, with it being the glue, there may be a side XLS protocol come. And I believe this is why they turned off XLS 38, which related to the witness server and additional chains. I don't think the XRPL network, or any blockchain network actually, has the capability to be a global currency which is used for payments everywhere. I don't think there's any chain that can do it at the moment. And maybe the chain that does do it doesn't exist yet. But what the XRPL can do, and they already lent that way, is where they would do neighboring chains of the same technology to easily do the layer 3 sort of protocol to cross assets across from one chain to another. That got turned off, and that was turned off by Ripple. And I think there'll be a new amendment come out, which is one similar, where they will have the similarities with the XLS 38 protocol with the witness server, but instead of having a native asset run on that chain, there would be an element where they would utilize XRP on that chain, which would then again come down to a witness server, so a bit like a gate. So what they do is they allow everyone to create more chains, but then they still utilize XRP. And I think that would be the glue scenario and how you get there. Either that or they improve the infrastructure to take on more transactions. That's the glue. The reason would be inflation, and the technology would be utilizing assets, not just in metaverse, which is your point 3, not just in metaverse or GameFi products, but also overall payments in the real world as well. Which then means that point 1 needs to upgrade. So I would say point 1, point 3, and point 4 would happen at different times, and point 2 and point 5 are obsolete. That's my answer.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because they make more sense than ones. I've got a bonus scenario.
You really threw that at me. That was a lot.
You done well. You done well.
To be a millionaire, answer A, B, or C, or D. It was some real difficult answers.
Well, you just shown me you can handle the pressure. That's exactly what's just happened there. You handled it like nothing.
Oh, that's no pressure. That's not pressure.
You can't. Definitely not for you. You rose like the phoenix to all of those scenarios.
What's the bonus one?
All right, so the bonus scenario. So XRP emerges as the phoenix coin during a financial reset. So the 1988 Economist cover goes viral again in 2030 as fiat currencies collapse in waves. A coordinated global financial reset is initiated at the G20 summit. A basket of assets is proposed, but no country agrees on leadership. XRP with no central issuer is proposed as the neutral Phoenix coin, which makes its myth become a reality.
No, this sounds more likely.
I want to share some realism here, because I know there's a lot of big influencers out there that will talk about the Great Reset. Now, if there was a reset, the pain that we would go through globally is catastrophic. You're on about many businesses. In fact, nearly everything would shut down. You would have more people homeless. You'd have people unable to afford their homes. This whole idea of a great reset would result in massive financial sort of the removing of value, if you like. It would just disappear, as a reset to then go on to something else. But no one would have any value because everything would have crashed. And, it's actually a pretty realistic scenario that could happen, because we're currently living in a world of debt, which with no backing. There's nothing that exists to replace it. So, and it's getting worse and worse. Now, I brought up an example of the housing market earlier. You look at the housing market. Anyone who does any analytical sort of predictions would tell you that's coming down. Like, it's coming down. It can't carry on the way it is. And use the housing market as an example. And another little tip as well: if there was any kind of reset, you wouldn't see it coming, but it would start in Asia. It would always start in the China, Japan region. It always would. And when housing started becoming a problem, the first continent or area that had problems with housing was actually China. That's really, really big. I think they're having problems now, aren't they?
Yeah. I think housing is a market, but the stock market and everything. Moves first.
That's right. Yeah. So let's add some meat to the bones to this story. You know, so a great reset would involve a lot of business collapsing, a lot of people losing their homes, a lot of people losing their jobs. Right. You know, great reset sounds great. Yeah, but wait till you're really in it. It ain't great, and there's no one prepared for it. But it gets worse than that. Then, okay, so what would be the reason? So it's not just the removal of value. What happens when we go into a financial crisis? Did you see how unstable the world was after COVID? And that was just a respiratory cold that you couldn't even tell you had. You've got Taiwan looking at being overtaken. You've got Argentina fueling up to perhaps take the Falklands again. You've got all the Middle East kicking off. There's nuclear weapons popping up all over the place, and everyone's arguing. And we didn't really have it that bad. So if there was a global reset, likely it would involve some kind of nuclear war, I would say, something like that, and then it really would destroy everything, and then you could have a reset. So I would say a reset sounds great, especially if you love crypto. Yeah,
be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for, because it's the worst outcome, and it would mean there'd be no food. There'd be no food in the shops. You'd lose your job. Businesses.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a total catastrophic reset. What about a controlled reset? How about that? To where we just transition in slowly, you know, take out the worst or fix the worst parts and then go from worst to least, you know?
If you think about it methodically and you've done a controlled global reset, then you're on about businesses shutting down, people losing jobs, people losing homes, nothing in the store. People got babies to look after, children, school, education, transport, energy, the list goes on. But at some point, if it was even attempted to be controlled, there would be panic and chaos. And even after there has been this, supposed reset, once it's actually kicked in, everyone's, you're talking that there'd be people with diseases everywhere. There'd be no emergency services. It would be chaos, and there'd be no way to. There wouldn't be many people left to do a reset. It'd almost be a bit like, what's that game, Wes, where you run around after a nuclear war? You know what it is.
Fallout.
Yeah, it'd be like Fallout. Yeah. So even if you tried to control it, if once you gradually started it, eventually, a bit like a seesaw, once you put the weight on one side, it starts to dip slow, and it would just pick up pace, and there would be no way to control it.
They call it the mutually assured destruction. If one person sets up a nuclear bomb, the other person retaliates. Russia's got a dead switch, a dead arm.
Yeah.
Well, but like you said, the mutual, assured destruction. I mean, it's not going to matter. If 100 nuclear bombs go off around the world, it's just not going to matter.
You're going to be in a society where there isn't going to be enough emergency services to deal with anything. There's not going to be any food to ration. It's going to be chaos. Absolutely. It'd be like if you had a global blackout from an EMP. Yeah, if you had a global blackout, and you imagine if your bank account got wiped. Just imagine.
Oh, man.
Just imagine that, though.
I always think of EMPs. EMPs, that would be the worst, wouldn't it? Oh, man.
Yeah, I think there's one predicted in 2029. They live free. Or is that an astro?
Are we talking about a solar? Are we talking about a solar EMP, or are we talking about a nuclear EMP?
A solar one, yeah.
Well, you know what? Okay, so we're going to go into that topic. Okay, so there are cycles coming in. Everybody knows about the 12,000 year cycle, and we're in it already. We're at that 12,000 year mark already. We have just hit a solar maximum that is the biggest solar maximum that hasn't been seen in I think the 20,000 years. And there's an article that just came out about that from the Space Weather Man News. He posted, yeah. He just posted it. So we have just hit a maximum, a solar maximum that hasn't been seen in thousands of years, in millennia. And that's again, that goes back to the situation of we're about to hit do a pole flip. It's all connected. It's all connected. What causes the pole flip is the same thing. You have this electromagnetic wave, shall we say, coming from the center of our galaxy that ripples through the Earth to where we are every 12,000 years, and that activates our sun. Well, activates all the suns in the solar system, in the galaxy. And so our solar system being in this galaxy, our sun gets pissed off, angry. It gets energized. And so it's going to start to do these solar flares. Now we do have a big solar flare that does come from the sun roughly about every 200-300 years. And again, we're due that. The last one that was just not even a massive solar flare was the Carrington event, which is in the 1800s. We're due another one of those Carrington events, and that will probably wipe a big section of electronics. So just like you said, the banks may go out, or at least in parts of the world they may go out, and so it all depends how big it is, and that's not even the actual big one from the 12,000 year cycle. So, we're due. So
And that's exactly why. So you would have seen on the news, they put blockchain nodes in bunkers, and they put blockchain nodes in satellites, and people go, why are they putting nodes so deep in the ground? And it's for, although it is a pretty dark situation, it does mean that if there is a sort of a devastating, event that happens like that, then there's a chance that as long as there is one node live, for example, if there's one node live on the XRP ledger, then the ledger is safe. That's why they've put them in bunkers, and that's why they put them in satellites. So if something like this does happen and one survives, then the currency survives. But see, like cash and the banks and that, you think they're going to survive? They're probably not.
No, you would have to rely to whatever's already out and about. So, whoever's got cash out now, or whoever has silver coins, or whoever has anything to trade, hell, a box of cigarettes or a bottle of whiskey or whatever, these vices, these addictions, man, that's going to go, that'll be turned automatically into gold,
And that's why this great reset, sounds good on paper, but if you go through it, down to the worst example that we had there, even if you try and ease it in, a great reset will be very, very painful for everyone around the world. Everyone, because it would be like a wave. It would be terrible. I'm not in favour of a global reset as a bonus. I would say hopefully that doesn't happen, and there's a smarter way to transition. Is my opinion on it anyway.
Well, you know what? Again, you have to see about the global reset. That means all the countries would have to agree to whoever decided, let's do a global reset. And not everybody is in agreement with that.
You imagine being a multi-millionaire, and everything starts fading around you, because the banks actually custody your money. We spoke about this loads of times. If there is a disastrous event and people start withdrawing money, there isn't enough money in the banks for everyone to take their money out. So you could be a very wealthy man right now, or woman, and if there is a pretty catastrophic event such as a global reset, you could find yourself, everyone will go back to being equal, and that would be a global reset. You'd be trading, like the free said there, bottles of whiskey and wood, but apples and bananas. We go back to the Stone Age, and that would be the reset. We literally,
God, yes, grim.
we don't have Stone Age in this civilization. It'd be chaos.
Yeah, I don't agree that there's going to be a global reset, agreed to by man. Now, there's eventually going to be a global reset because of Mother Nature and the, solar and the, cycles of the galaxy. But I don't think it would be a global reset agreed to by man. I mean, there's like you said, there's too many billionaires and trillionaires that's like, well, hell no, I'm not going to lose the money that I just
if you need
stole,
if you need evidence that civilization has had a reset before, have a look at the pyramids. Have a look.
Absolutely.
Because
the Sphinx is supposedly over 12,000 years old. Göbekli Tepe is dated at 12,000 years old.
Egyptian civilizations were more intelligent than us.
Well, I think that these were the fallen angels. These are the people, the demons that came down, who rebelled against God and had the knowledge and technology.
I'm just eating some onion rings. I haven't had enough beer for this conversation. I'm going to get a cold beer.
You know what? Bring it. So what about a gold back, a gold back system, like moving to a gold back system?
Anyone who's tried to do that though has been assassinated. Gaddafi, Saddam.
Gold is still inflationary as well. So I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know it wouldn't be very good to do a controlled global reset. It would just fall to the wayside, eventually. It would, at like a tipping point, it would just tip over and it would just be chaos.
But one has to consider, what if all this stuff about the talk about the global reset and this and that, or at least the financial reset, what if it is just a distraction to keep everybody talking and the conspiracy theories floating, because they know something is coming, and they just want to keep us analytical minds busy with other BS, until it hits, and there's nothing you can do about it after it hits. And I'm talking about a natural global reset. I'm not talking about a man-made global reset. So like this, we're discussing this right now. We are being entertained by these theories, by this discussion. So as opposed to sitting back and reading actually about the 12,000 year cycle, it's like, holy shit, that's coming. Forget, that you're a Democrat, or forget that you're a Republican, forget that you're a Tory, or forget that you're whatever other party. That's not going to matter. That's not going to matter, but they keep you entertained with that shit, just so that you don't see that the actual hammer that's going to come down on top of your head.
The great equalizer, live free. Everyone is made equal, no matter if you're Jeff Bezos building bunkers deep in the ground, or fucking Mark Zuckerberg doing the same, Elon Musk building rockets. You will be brought to reckoning.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's say you are Jeff Bezos, and let's say you did survive. What about all those people that are protecting Jeff Bezos? You think they're going to tolerate his bullshit? After all this shit happens? They're going to say, screw you, man. Your money is not worth anything anymore. It's like, we're just protecting you now because we want it inside your bunker. Now that everything has happened, we're done.
Yeah, we'd all have to be equal. We'd all be equal.
Exactly, but the most valuable thing amongst everything, like gold loses its value, it gets tarnished, it rusts, you lose it. It's only if people want it. Water, you need it. But do you know the most valuable thing is actually trust? Trust is what we're all dealing with, and it all boils down to trust. I trust you to give me some water for some gold, for example.
I thought you were going to say a distillery.
Whatever it may be, but it comes down to that, the transaction. I think it's
or
another work
maybe papers for that special cigarette.
Yeah, whatever you need, it comes down to the transaction. Whatever that transaction is, whether it's this commodity for this asset, whatever it is, or this service, but it comes down to trust, and that is what you are transacting. Fuck what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. That has its own value. You know, I need that. I need some dung there to fertilize my plants. I need your shit. You
may say trust. You may say trust, but always carry a big stick. You know.
Oh yeah, listen. A big stick is good for many things.
I think Wes meant something dirty then. I don't know if anyone caught that.
What's that? I don't know if I caught it.
Wes and his dick.
I don't think I caught it.
So did
we get Rayleigh?
Did we get
another 2 hour one?
Right. Did we get the bonus question right?
No, there wasn't.
What was the question?
There wasn't any. There wasn't any questions or anything. It was just basically talking through scenarios. So there isn't any actual answer to these things. It's just literally scenario.
A bit of a hypothetical analysis. I've got you. Well, glad I wasted my brain power on that. So we know
it's never a waste, Daniel. It's never a waste. It's just exercise. That's all it is. It's just exercise.
There's a multitude of topics in this. Yeah, so when Rayleigh's doing the tags for this, I mean, she can put in all sorts of tags.
Oh, that poor girl. She's going to be so busy.
Well, she's got another 2 hour one.
Yeah.
No, she's going to cut it down to an hour. So a lot of this philosophical talk that we're having right now is going to disappear forever.
So we really did waste it then. So it's not even going on YouTube.
Oh, no.
Well, no, you know what? But you can still listen to it off the spaces until X goes down, and then you can't hear it anymore.
Yeah, we could probably convince her to do it like a second show. Mike's hypothesis of the future.
I mean,
the big reset.
1 to 5 with a bonus.
I mean, I could definitely do a section of the show like that. I come up with all types of shit.
You've already done it.
You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to do an introduction, Mike.
What, as good as, I don't know if I can do it as good as Palace though.
Yeah,
I'll have to have a chat with him.
Well, you know what? Just don't screw up the names and you'll be good.
All right, guys. I have nothing left of Phoenix and nothing left of hypothetical future events.
I think this is a good place to do our finishing talk. And any final says before I'm going to go ahead and do some poetry written by one of our members from DPMF. If anybody else has anything else to say before I sign this off with that poetry.
No,
that's beautiful. It deserves the recognition. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to do.
Okay, so this is from NSCV, from DPMF, titled Eternal Flame. I set ablaze the ashes of yesterday as I rise today. I own an unquenchable flame that blazes to eternity. I am an eternal blazing soul that walks a path of no end. I dance to the tune of an infernal will that will never bend. I hold the great flame that burns the prison of cold eternity. I own sacred tears that play melodies of immortality. I have feathers that blaze in the essence of infinite vibrance. I own beauty that enchains all eyes within an eternal glance. I am the eternal flame that burns death's endless oblivion. I am the eternal ember that lights infinite creation. I am unrivaled within the great dawn of an eternal flame. I, King of all fire, lay hold of eternity's grandiose claim. Eternal Flame by NSCV. Now you guys can go ahead, if you like this, he has lots of different poetry on his Fusion profile. I have linked it. I have posted it on the messages. You can go check it out. He has a lot of beautiful poems. Maybe one will light your flame and you can help him out by purchasing one of his NFTs. So, this show was sponsored by FusionXIO.com, a premier permissionless NFT platform where you can mint and sell NFTs in any of the over 54,000 coins on the XRPL. And soon to be where you need to go to get the future Yem Part 1 and 2 rewards. The current Yem Infinity reward went out today, so check your wallets. Remember, to be able to unlock the yield earning mechanism, you will need to own at least one XIO, and the amount of Yem Infinity reward depends on the amount of XDX you own. Please don't take anything we say as financial advice. Do your own research. With that said, we bid you farewell and hope you join us again next week for another deep dive into the blockchain world. This show is recorded, so if you missed a part, you can go back and listen to the show. Please share and have a beautiful day, people. Bye-bye and sleep well, and don't worry about the global reset that is not coming, because it's going to be Mother Nature doing it to us. Goodbye, guys.
Take care, guys.
Have a good evening, guys. God bless.
Good night.